We have a very important broadcast lined up for you today. We are now only, 5-6 days out from the election. Coming up next Tuesday, that should be interesting. Steve Watson is joining us in 30 minutes on a host of issues. The British government is adding high levels of fluoride, sodium fluoride, to the milk school children drink because, again, they care so much about your teeth. Doesn't matter if the American Medical Association, American Dental Association, British Dental Association have said that fluoride is actually bad for children's teeth and causes fluorosis. Oh, you didn't know 2 years ago both countries officially said it was bad because all the science disproved them? They don't care. They're going to spray it on your crops. It goes right through the membrane of the fruits and vegetables and right through the cell walls. They're going to put it in your milk. They're going to, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has openly announced that they are working on, quote, flying syringes was the headline, mosquitoes that have vaccines, because then you won't have a choice, will you? Because the government, they love you. These eugenicists, they just care so much about you. The government's so good. Headline at Infowars.net, fluoride added to children's milk in schools throughout UK city. Kids now drinking poison waste product, first used as mood stimulant by Nazis. I don't know if that's a good headline, but it was actually a depressant, but whatever. I guess it's all word games. Doesn't matter either way. It's right. It's being added in 42 schools throughout the city of Sheffield in the UK. And that's just where Paul lives is the reason they know about it. Steve, his brother, runs Infowars.net. He's down in London. Despite the chemicals proven linked to liver and kidney damage, cancer, and the lowering of IQ. Now, here's the Yorkshire Post. Dental action targets children. So I wanted to get into this, and then massive internet censorship starting up in England, Europe, Australia. I mean, they're openly announcing it now, Chinese-style censorship. I mean, it's here. National filters. And, of course, through those filters are really snooping hubs. So we're going to be talking about that. Steve Watson, break it down for us.
Yeah, hello, Alex. How you doing?
Good.
It's been added to children's milk in 42 schools throughout Sheffield. I mean, this is going on across the country. This is just focusing in on one city alone. 42 schools in that city, according to this report in the Yorkshire Post, under a new strategy with a focus of preventing dental problems, which, of course, as we've covered many times, dental experts, the Dental Association, have all given warnings about excessive intake of fluoride having negative health effects with very little positive effects. According to this report, it's under a new contract that will encourage dental workers to carry out more preventive work. Added in there is the provision that fluoride is already being added to children's milk in 42 primary schools in the city, which will continue, and the local NHS is also planning to begin talks on adding more fluoride to water throughout the city.
Continue, Steve.
Okay, it says the key changes will come into force in March next year, when the current contract comes to an end. Director of Public Health Sheffield, John Green, said the current dental contract was very actively focused, but they want to carry out more of this kind of thing. If we look into what dentists have to say about fluoridation of water and milk, July 2007 review studies by the American Dental Association concluded that children under 6 are at risk of permanently discolored teeth due to fluoride supplements, which are given to children if they don't have fluoridated water in their area. What happens is excessive fluoride causes enamel fluorosis of the teeth, which is significant discoloration, and it's specifically has a specifically bad effect on young children as their teeth are developing. Other dentists have spoken out. For example, Dr. Hardy Lineback, head of preventive dentistry at the University of Toronto, said that mass medicating the public through the water supply was dangerous and unnecessary. He said the benefits are exaggerated. There's growing evidence of overexposure from fluoridated toothpaste and many other sources, because it's not only in water and toothpaste, and as we've seen now in milk, it's been put into all kinds of things like tea, food. Anyway, in a email to McLean's, the toothpaste manufacturer, this doctor wrote, quote, "On the risk side, so many people will end up with ruined teeth, fragile bones, acute sensitivities, thyroid problems, and increased risk for cancer, all in the name of preventive dentistry."
Now, let's stop right there, and we're going to keep going through the article with Steve Watson. This is another prime example of hidden in plain view. They knew in the 20s that sodium fluoride was a deadly chemical weapon that had a cumulative effect that fractured the bones, the teeth, that attacked every organ in the body, particularly glands, calcified them. Thousands of studies by the 50s. They took the toxic waste, but used the term fluoride as a whole subgroup of over 100 deadly chemicals, lead, mercury, arsenic, just on and on and on, that they dump in your water. Now, because the public is now filtering water, and because the public instinctively knows that, and plus it tastes horrible. I mean, folks, this is not placebo or imaginary. When I was a child, I would brush my teeth. You know, my dad was a dentist, and I was really into brushing my teeth, right? And I always remember I'd feel great, and then I'd brush my teeth, and I'd have to go lay on the couch, and I'd have a horrible headache. And I remember by the time I was like 10, I started figuring out every time I brush my teeth, I just feel horrible. I just feel terrible, and I feel exhausted, and it makes me feel nauseous. And so I started learning to only use a little bit of toothpaste, and it wasn't as bad. And then Dallas water tasted like kerosene. And then the first few times I would go to a business and see Sparklets or whatever, or Ozarka, I would like, man, what is this? It tastes so good. I mean, for the first time in my life, I was drinking real water. So see, the globalists are masters. Just like if they want to sterilize a herd of deer or wild pigs, that's how they're controlling some of them now in Texas, they will go to a water supply and put a chemical in it to sterilize them. Or they'll put out pellets to sterilize them that they eat. It's the same thing. They put it out into our environment like we're animals. They're the anthropologists. They're the behavioral psychologists. They study us like animals, like a scientist studies microbes in a petri dish. And they are cold-bloodedly doing this. So now that we're avoiding it, they have the governments coming out and saying, well, the public's avoiding it. We'll just put it in fruits and vegetables. We'll just put it in processed foods. We'll put it in the milk. And, of course, this is only the tip of the iceberg. They're putting it in milk here. They'll have orange juice now that says fortified by nutrients and minerals. You'll read on the back, it'll say fluoride. It'll say fluoride for kids. Give your kids what they need. But there's been a revolution of resistance against this tyranny. We have the dentist. We have the EPA scientist. We have the majority of them. Thousands of them a few years ago signed a letter to the EPA. This was their own scientist saying, this is deadly. This is horrible. This is, giving them all the proof. And the EPA said, no, we're still going to do it. It's still going to try to force states and counties and cities and water districts to do it. So the point is, there is a revolution where scientists finally looked at this and said, my God, they knew all along. Yes, this is who runs the West. They're brain damaging you. That you should be you're being given a chemical lobotomy. Steve Watson.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should contextualize more about what fluoride actually is, which I did at the end of the article I wrote. It's a waste. The sodium fluoride that's put in water, etc., is a waste product of the fertilizer and aluminium industry. In the UK, it's classed under the UK Poisons Act as a Part 2 poison. It's one of the most deadly poisons there are. It was used not only by the Nazis to fluoridate water to dumb down people in concentration camps, also by the Soviets in the 50s. It was used in their water supplies to make prisoners more docile and subservient. It's 97% of Western Europe has rejected it, yet in America, 60% of the population's water is now fluoridated.
By the way, it's now about 75. The enemy, they will come into a small town and spend, by small town, I saw an example in one Texas town, over 40,000, and they spent $1 million to brainwash the public.